All praises to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and let's get right into this video. So it says right here, the US dollar is not the standard anymore, the dollar will be gone, so let's play this video.
Putin announced this week that Russia will begin using the Chinese yuan for international payments instead of the dollar. Saudi Arabia is also in talks with Beijing to do the same thing. Speaking of Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, they are in talks with Iran as well to consider an economic alliance with China and Russia. And they can even be joining the BRIC countries, which is an acronym for these countries here, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These countries all have emerging economies. So what happens if our economy and the U.S. dollar are no longer the world's dominant currency? Former Assistant Treasury Secretary and host of the Monica Crowley podcast, Monica Crowley, is here to weigh in. Monica, great to see you this morning. Let's start right there. What happens if these emerging economies move away from the U.S. dollar towards the Chinese yuan?
Well, good morning, Will. It's great to be with you. And it's really hard to overstate exactly how catastrophic the abandonment of the U.S. dollar would be as the world's global reserve currency. Look, since the end of World War II, the dollar has been the safe place to go, and it's been backed up by a couple of things. It originally was backed up by gold, but President Nixon took us off the gold standard, so there's no hard asset backing up the dollar anymore for the last 50 years. But also it's been backed up by the strength and economic power of the United States and the fact that oil has always been traded in dollars. If that were to end, that would mean the end of the U.S. dollar. Look, there is a perfect storm happening right now, Will. The world's reserve currency being that, having that status has been a real privilege, but we've abused the privilege by wholly reckless monetary and fiscal policies over many years, certainly over the last couple of years, which has really devalued the dollar. On top of that, now you do have this perfect storm of Biden's weakness, his war on American domestic energy production, the Ukraine war, and as you point out, because of all of these things, we've got America's enemies led by China forming a new economic bloc. And all it would take at this point now, because we're at this pivotal moment, Will, is for Saudi Arabia, who has indicated that they're open to this, to say, you know what, we're going to be open to considering other currencies to trade in oil. If that were to happen, there would be a complete implosion of the global economic system, but certainly the American economic system. And if that were to happen, you'd be looking at sky-high inflation, just raging Weimar Republic kind of inflation. If you think inflation is bad now, just wait. But more importantly, we would lose our economic dominance and we would lose our superpower status.
Monica, the world's reserve currency, you said it's a privilege for the United States for the dollar to have been the world's currency. How does that relate to each individual American? How has that changed or impacted or improved our lives throughout the last several decades?
Yeah, I mean, it's given the United States incredible dominance in the world in terms of the economic system and in terms of trade. It's kept prices down. So whether it's energy prices, whether it's your food prices, the entire global economic system is reliant on the safe and secure dollar. But that is no longer true, again, because we've been printing money like crazy and devalued the power of the dollar and the value of the dollar. But on top of it now, again, oil is the critical linchpin of this. If Saudi Arabia decides to join with America's enemies here and start trading oil in different currencies, that is going to undermine the entire global economic system. And here at home, you know what it's going to mean for us? It's going to mean raging inflation, so much worse than anything we have ever experienced, Will. Yeah. And I'll tell you, they're setting it up so that they can then come to the rescue by introducing central bank digital currencies. If they were to do that, and the United States already has a pilot program, that means the loss of your individual economic freedom, because the government will have total access and control of everything you buy and sell and the ability to turn it off like that.
Ominous warning. I hear you. Saudi Arabia is the tipping point. Oil trading in dollars is the tipping point.
No, I'm surprised. I don't know how long ago this was, but I'm surprised that this was aired on Fox News because we know that Fox News does tend to be a little more pro-Trump, right? Or at least Fox News has been known for being more pro-Trump, right? So the dude says something about Weimar Republic. Let's get out Weimar Republic, right? We're gonna get Weimar Republic inflation. Now, if you don't know, within Weimar Republic, hyperinflation in the Weimar Republic 1921 to 1923 was a catastrophic economic crisis where the German mark lost almost all of its value due to massive money printing to cover war debts and reparations, exasperated by the Ruhr occupation and strikes leading to soaring prices, social chaos, and a collapse in public trust that fueled extremist politics. Now, we're not going to get into all this, but during Weimar Republic, right, says in late 1923, the government introduced the Rentenmark, a new currency backed by real estate industrial assets, halting the printing presses, right? So, of course, you know how in Weimar Republic they had to come out with a new currency. Well, same thing with America. There's something called revelation of the method where they'll tell you what's about to happen, or they'll tell you what they're about to do or what's about to happen before it actually happens. So on Fox News, she's telling the people watching the network that, our prices in America are about to go up catastrophically, and it's going to be because of the global rest of the world cutting out America and willing to deal with trading in their own currency instead of trading in the US currency. So let's type in Weimar Republic inflation examples. Right? So here's a good example. So the Weimar Republic's hyperinflation saw prices explode, with the loaf of bread rising from 250 marks in January to 200 billion marks by November, forcing people to use real barrels of cash for basic goods, burn banknotes for fuel, and barter as money became worthless. Right. So soon we're going to be going into a barter society because money's going to be worthless. So that's why Isaiah chapter that's why it says in Isaiah, it says, "Rise up, you women that are at ease," right? Because once this currency goes out, a lot of people are going to be selling their sons. A lot of people are going to be selling their daughters, right? To cover for food, right? So it's going to become a barter system, right? And barter, as money became worthless, devastating savers and middle classes while benefiting debtors and fueling political extremism, right? So, as we know, or think about it like this, coffee price doubles. A student recalled ordering coffee for 5,000 marks, only to be charged 7,000 marks by the time he finished, right? So in real time, these prices are going to go up like crazy, right? So let's get another video. Let's get this right here.
The chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, said that over the past several months, 4 or 5 months, the job creation numbers reported by the United States government are wrong by 60,000 jobs per month. Now, let's be clear. The government has been reporting that we're creating approximately 40,000 jobs per month. So if they're wrong by 60,000 jobs per month, that means we're losing jobs. Okay, here's what's going on here. The numbers are fake. That's what's going on. That in fact, what the economists were predicting about how bad the tariff policy is, how bad his bill that he put through Congress is, how terrible they are, weren't showing up in the numbers. And the reason is because the numbers were wrong. This is not a rich people's issue. This is a direct blow to the middle class of America, to working families in America.
Right. So like I said, remember when in Germany they had to introduce the Rentenmark? Well, in America they're going to introduce the CBDC or the CHIP, right, to replace the dollar, right? So you gotta understand now, people are on the Trump train saying and thinking Trump was going to create new jobs, but instead Trump is actually a big cause of why jobs are being lost. Trump is a big reason on why a lot of farmers are going bankrupt right now. 60,000 jobs lost per month. That's terrible. And there's no point of return. There's no halt for these jobs being lost. It just is what it is. Right? So it says right here, rise up, ye women that are at ease. Isaiah chapter 32, verse 9, rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. For many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Right? Because when you have inflation going up sky high and people losing their jobs, I mean, you have 60,000 jobs being lost per month, right? What do you think that means? That means cops are going to be losing their jobs, police are going to be losing their jobs, right? Basic services aren't going to be operated because the people who do the jobs for those basic services will also be lost too. And that's going to go to a bartering system where women, will be humbled or will be in a humbling process, and they'll have to do whatever they can to survive. This is why we need Yahweh Bahaj. That's why we need Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai during these times. Because you're not going to be able to make it without him. Right? It says, wisdom shall be the stability of their time. So it says Isaiah chapter 33, verse 6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure, right? So this is where our place needs to be right now. This is where our state needs to be right now, right? We need to have wisdom and knowledge, because that's going to be stability in those times, right? So wisdom is the fear of the Lord. So fear of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. We need to have faith, right? Because it's not through the law we make it. It's really, even though we rehearse the righteous acts, it's really through the grace of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai that we make it, right? So, got to have a lot of faith in those times too. So let's get one last scripture. It says, Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 3, and the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, right? So the grinders are going to be very few, right? I can only imagine when there's no more truck drivers, right? So, and we already know how fast stores get run up once certain news comes along. So, I just want to say, hope this lesson is edifying. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, and Shalom.